Hey, what's up you guys? My name is Josh, welcome back to another toy review, and today we're here to take a look at the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Mutant Mayhem Michaelangelo. And yeah, I don't want to jump super quick to talking about the details because you guys know that I like to kind of do that later on during the review, but obviously one of the biggest things to note with the design of these turtles, especially with Mikey, is that he was pretty well known for his ginormous head. I mean like I mean when you compare the designs with him and his brothers, it's so noticeable, and I don't want to do the comparison so quick, in the video because I always save it for last, but just to kind of give you guys a good idea, this is the last figure we reviewed of Raphael. So with him, I mean, it seems right because he is slightly more buff. Obviously he's somewhat on the chunkier side. No offense, I'm not fat shaming or anything, but you get the point. It makes sense for his weight to kind of be a little bit weird and off, well, not his weight, but I'm talking about his head. You get the idea. And then of course you compare it with Leo. You see his is pretty normal, and of course same goes for Donnie. His, you see how pretty average it is. So it seems like Raph and Mike are the only ones that got that weird kind of head size going on. But with Mikey, it is very, very noticeable, as you can kind of see. Also, I already reviewed Leo and Raph. I just haven't reviewed Donnie yet, so he's going to be the next one after Mike. Just to kind of give you guys a good comparison right there. And like I say, it's funny, because obviously the movie goes for a more very cartoony aspect. But of course, despite it having like those 2D elements, of course the movie is 3D animated in a way. Yeah. So I just thought I'd kind of point that out because, it's very interesting and I kind of wonder if that was kind of done on purpose. Because pretty much almost all the characters got like these weird exaggerated features to it. So I thought that was kind of a nice compliment with Mikey since, obviously he seems pretty average for the most part. I mean, especially when you look around and stuff like that. So, of course, before I really move on to the figure, of course, let's show off the card back that he comes with. Just gonna kind of zoom out just a little bit more. And, of course, this is how they come if you want to go around and get the figures. Has a nice little picture of Mikey right here. And, of course, you got the logo right up there. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, And, okay, and obviously, I every time I open these, I try so hard not to mess up the design because at least now we can finally get like a nice clear look at it. Let me just brighten this up just a little bit. That's kind of my camera that does that. I just like to do it automatically for some reason. Nice little design. That's kind of the whole like the sewer hall kind of you could sort of see right there. A neat little design there. Of course, we move to the back and oops, sorry about that. Anyway, yeah, and of course, little description. You got the other figures during the first wave, and right here you got the nice little card back. Not the card, but that's pretty much what it is. It's the clip and collect. That's that nice little gimmick that the Playmates always like to put with their figures. That's pretty much been like a running thing since the original toy line. Obviously, if they gave you the option if you want to cut and keep that, which is very nice. They call Mikey the comedian. All right. Let's see. Hopefully, when I actually see the movie now, maybe he makes like a funny ass joke. You know what I mean? And I wanted to kind of mention that because I like how with different interpretations of the turtles, I like how with the previous one with Rise of TMNT, Mikey he was like the artist, and now this one's like the comedian. You know what I mean? So I like that Mikey has always been like that crazy exotic one, and they still keep that element within the film, which I think is very great. So of course, without further ado, let's go over the figure itself. So of course, these toys they're on the slightly smaller scale. They go for the 4.5 inch inches as we look around. Even though I pretty much already showed off his design, a few minutes ago, it's still nice to kind of point out some of the like reptile kind of like skin textures you can still see on his arms right here, you know. And of course, the articulation is very good, for sure. I mean, he can move anywhere. You could kind of bobble his head a little bit. Him and his watermelon head. That's pretty much what it is. That's the shape. And you got that kind of going on. I don't know why. Maybe it's just me. I feel like out of all the turtles, when with the little movements, I feel like Mikey kind of does it best. I don't know why. Like it feels like when he kind of bends, it actually like goes kind of like all the way almost, not like all the way, but you know what I mean. So like for an example, if you try to pose around Raph, obviously it's a little bit harder with him because he got the slightly thick legs. They kind of go that far, that kind of like that, you know what I mean. They don't really go as far as they kind of should be. So but then with Mikey's, you see like how far he kind of bends over. Obviously, it's because of how the figures are in their shape. It's not necessarily like like the sculpting's fault. That's just how they are. And they're very weird body types. But there's something about Mikey's. His is a little bit on the agile kind of side. I mean, same for Donatello too, because Donnie, he got that weird kind of aesthetic too. Probably because he wields the bow staff and all that, so he kind of has to. Of course, he got the bag. He got the nice little detail within his shell. They're all pretty much like somewhat the same color, pretty much the shell. Sort of that very light, sort of hazelnut brown, kind of. Not sure if I got that right. I mean, I wouldn't really call it almond brown either. That's more of a darker color. This is definitely a much more bright color. But still very nice detailed overall. The more that I think about it, unfortunately, I don't really have the figures except for Donnie. The original movie star turtles that came out in the 90s. I know that their shell textures were somewhat similar. I only own Donatello, but he's kind of like pretty high up my shelf, so I don't really want to take him down, risking dropping anything. So detail's great. Of course, articulation, like I say, it's very good. I mean, of course, legs kind of swivel around. They don't move up and down. I did heard from some people that when they made the mistake of thinking that it does go up and down, I've actually heard that you can actually pop the feet out, and luckily it won't break the figure or anything. You can still actually pop it right back on. I don't want to do that because I really don't want to risk breaking these figures. I mean, they're very solid for the most part. There's no loose parts. They're actually really solid figures for sure. I mean, for the most part, I think. I mean, I haven't really had any sort of issues with loose parts or anything like that with the figures. They all pretty much hold, well, not well hold, but like you get the idea. They pretty much uh stand pretty well, and no problem. So that's great. All right, and then of course you got the belt, you get the nice little buckle, so that's great. I also like the expression on Mike's face too. He's all kind of got that big giant fat grin. Uh, yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's not as great as Raph's, but it is what it is. That's kind of how they are. I can't help but feel like the eyes. I don't know. I think they're fine. I think it's just like one's like say slightly more open than the other. Maybe it's just me. That's not a bad thing. So I kind of point that out. Just get the bandana. Get the little thing right here to hold his nunchucks. And yes, we're gonna go over the accessories real quick. Of course, let's just kind of set them down. There we go. Very nicely done. So, of course, without further ado, let's take a look at the accessories. So, of course, you can't have Michelangelo without his nunchucks. So, as you can see, this is how they are. So, as you can see, they're already pre-posed, so this is not like an actual real chain. It's actually, pretty much a stiff plastic. It's pretty stiff, actually, It's like, that's kind of like how far it could go. You can't really do much with it. At least they're painted, which is good, I mean, for the most part, all the turtles' weapons are painted except for Donnie's. But his is an exception because he always has like a brown bow staff, whatever, So of course you got like the sort of dark grays here for the chains. You got the orange that matches, his colors. But of course, like I say, they're pretty much stuck like that. And for some people, that might be a bummer. And I remember at first it did kind of bother me a little bit, but once I kind of got him to pose around with it, it's actually not as bad as I think it is. I think it's still kind of it fits in pretty well. Not to mention that the reason why, at least personally for me, I don't know if this is how true this is. I think the reason why they got his nunchucks posed like that is so that way when you put him on his back, it's not too much of a problem because as you can kind of see here, they're kind of set in a certain way, but they're not set to where you do it like this. No, you can't do that. You do it kind of like that pretty much. So I'll give you like a little bit of a demonstration. Let me see if I can remember from the top of my head. So I think you're supposed to do it like this. You do one like that, and then you do the other one. I'm trying to think because I remember I had to kind of experiment a little bit with that. So either you see how it doesn't really work. So you kind of had to do like a little loop-de-loop. You had to kind of do it like that. Or let me see, or vice versa. Let me see. There we go. Almost. Let me see. Almost. Yeah. Oh, almost. Yeah, there we go. All right. Close enough. Let me see. I'm pretty sure there was a much more better way of doing it. I just can't remember from the top of my head because it's kind of been a while since I messed around with this figure, you know, when I first bought it. And, you know, let me see if I could... I mean, not that it matters, you know. I mean, personally, I rather just put his other accessories on his back because, yes, he does have extra pair of nunchucks you could put on him. And you know what? That actually doesn't look bad. Honestly, it's stuff like this that kind of makes me want to buy the same figures twice so that way I can have multiple ones holding their different weapons because these figures are that fun. I don't know what it is. I know I'm not the only one that enjoys these a lot. So, of course, just kind of move on here. Pulls him around just a little bit with that. So it's doable, you know, when he pulls him around. It's fine. You know, you can still kind of make him hit the bad guys, whatever. You know, you can make him do stuff, you know. So it's not too bad. It's still a little weird, but, you know, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. It's not as bad as maybe some people might think it is, because like I say, it did bother me a little bit that they were already pre-posed and that there isn't really anything else you could do about it. But that's fine, you know. So I'm going to put the nunchucks on his back only because I do want to demonstrate a little bit of his other accessories that he does come with. So I'm going to do this. Okay, let me see. Almost. Luckily, it is made of a much more softer plastic here, so you could... there you go. I think that's how you're supposed to do it. I think... Oh, yeah. Okay, that worked out. Alrighty, so let's take a look at his other accessories. Okay, cool. There we go. Yep, so these are all of Mikey's accessories. So, of course, just like all the other figures, he does come with a nice little training rack. And, of course, he comes with his fair share of weapons that were kind of attached to it. But, obviously, it's like a sort of plastic tree. You have to kind of take the, you know, weapons off either with some scissors or some sort of thing you can use to kind of take them out. Some extra nunchucks. You know, you got this one. You got the nice, really long one with the little, you know, spike thing at the end. Little ooze canister. Ninja stars. Much more tinier slice of pizza. Okay. Of course, a baby turtle. And, yeah, so let's go over each of the accessories one by one. So maybe it's just me, I don't know, but I feel like out of all the turtles, his and Donatello's accessories are kind of like the somewhat more like slightly like not like, well, they are fun, but more like accessible because you could kind of see like how you got like the way that the chain is posed. You know, I like to think that maybe, you know, you could like definitely make him hang on to something if you want. He could do like kind of like a nice little long range attack, which I've always loved that, you know. I mean, as you guys know, you know, I'm a huge fan of games like Devil May Cry, so I always like that when you fight the enemies and you always get like that one weapon that's like a short range or a long range. So this, I definitely get that feel with that. And what I also like too is that you could definitely make them like hang, or, you know, if you want with that. I've definitely tried it before, and what's good is that the grip is good to where he won't necessarily fall off. I mean, he might first couple times. You just kind of got to experiment with it just a little bit. So I guess I could kind of do a bit of a demonstration. So I've never done this before, but we're going to get a little bit offset. And so I'm going to show off, you know, my Marble Legends collection really quick. Just to do a little bit of a demonstration. Just to kind of see how it works. Let me see. I want to try and see if I could do this without my camera being so dumb. Okay, there we go. Let me see. Okay. Yeah, like that. So you see, perfect. You see how that kind of works? Oh, and in case you're wondering, this is it's a, it's a Spidey. So there you go. Just to kind of get that out of the way, in case you're wondering what that is. So yeah, that definitely does work very well. I do like that a lot. Like I say, it's like a trial and error thing. You know, you're hoping that he doesn't fall. I doubt anyone's gonna, you know, kind of pose Mikey like that, but just thought I kind of give you a nice little demonstration because I do like that a lot. I don't know why. I've always loved figures when they kind of do that, when they come like some sort of like weird grapple. You know, kind of like with like their GI Joes. They're kind of like that too. I know with like the Blue Ninja 2 packs, they do come with that little hook. So if you want, you can make them kind of hang around somewhere, you know, in your room or however you kind of pose them around. And then of course we got the little microphone nunchucks, which is that's like such an like a cheesy thing to do. You know, I don't even know how to describe it. It feels retro. I really do like the idea of that. That he literally has like microphone nunchucks. And what's also nice is with the way that they're posed, they're very accessible, meaning that you can actually put them on his back if you wanted to. I actually did that, you know, while I was kind of posing the figure. So to give a little demonstration, so you see how nice that is? It fits there perfect, and that's really nice. And the details, of course, you can see the, you know, top part, so that's very good. I mean, they're kind of small, obviously, you know, unfortunately, and yeah, the grip is not the grip, it's not the best. Only because a lot of his other weapons, obviously, they got like pretty large grips, so of course that's probably gonna affect a little bit of the hands articulation, you know. But it's not the worst, you know. I've definitely seen a lot more worse during the TMNT toy lines. You know, ranging from the originals to even the 2012 toy line, because I know that for sure those figures definitely suffer a lot from having weapons that they can't really hold that much, and that if you want to pose them on your shelf, good luck and make sure that they don't fall off the hands, but you get the point. So I do like those accessories a lot. And then of course, as always, they come with ninja stars, but these actually look like ninja stars this time instead of just, you know, what Raph and Leo has. And of course, you know, they're more applicable. You know, you could definitely put them on his hand if you want. So now he could definitely like, you know, you could definitely kind of throw him around like if he's Joe Musashi from the Shinobi video games. Remember those? Remember the Shinobi games? No. Well, they haven't really made any video games in a while. The last video game that came out was actually on the Nintendo 3DS, and that was like a gazillion years ago. Like, wow, it was that long ago. And of course, you know, the ooze canister, but this one is kind of unique, and I'll explain why. So like right here I have Leo's, so you could kind of see how it looks. So not just the color, but even with how the canister is formed. So you see how it's in reverse. So instead of being cracked this way, it's actually being cracked the other way, facing the handle. So that's a very interesting kind of detail you got going on, you know. Great attention to detail actually, so that's pretty nice. Then, of course, you know, because this is toxic, I don't know how they're really able to kind of hold it. Obviously, with the way that the grip is, they're not going to hold it that well. And honestly, Mikey, you're kind of asking for it at that point. You know, if you got ooze kind of hanging out right where your fingers are, but okay, you know, I mean, if you wanna mutate further, I mean, that's just your choice, man. Actually, fun fact, during the original 90s films, when they wanted to make a fourth film, they actually wanted to make it about the turtles with their mutations going even more further. But unfortunately, that never ended up happening. But what did ended up happening was Ninja Turtles: The Next Mutation, and that's another story for another time. And of course, the very small slice of pizza, which I don't know if he's on a diet. You know, I mean, he does got that big ass head, but it's not how the anatomy works. And yeah, it's such a tiny slice too. He can't even hold it. All the turtles do come with slices of pizza, but not this small. So I don't know what the correlation is behind that. I don't know why Mikey has the smallest of the bunch, but it's not a huge deal. It's just kind of funny. He could kind of hold it, but like it just kind of looks weird. It looks less like a pizza, more like a cracker. You know what I mean? It's like I don't know. I don't know. Maybe he is on a diet. I don't know. I haven't seen the film. I don't know. I know, of course, the cute little baby turtle. You know, is him before the mutation. You know, pre-mutation. You know, he got that kind of going on. He's facing the other way. He got a hole under here too. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna assume that this is probably gonna be part of something in the future where you could put him somewhere, but I wouldn't know. It's either that or maybe when they were making these figures, maybe they need to make a hole for whatever reason. I know that sounds weird, but you know, these are toys made in a factory. What else did you expect? There's gotta be at least some sort of like kind of weird way they gotta had to trickle around. You know, it's kind of going around with his little pizza. You know, heck, he's having a heck of a time. How about we yeah, there you go. He actually does really looks really nice with that. I don't know why I love that so much. There we go. Yeah, alright, there you go. Nice. Oh, and in case you don't believe me about the whole pizza thing, uh this is the This is Donnie's slice, and look at Mikey's slice. Yeah, I don't know. Actually, now that I think about it, he ate the crust first. That's interesting. And okay, so let's go right ahead with the comparison. So of course I'm gonna compare him to some of the other incarnations of Mikey. But note that obviously I don't have every version of the Turtles, which is unfortunate. But you know, the reviews have to go on somehow, and at least I give you somewhat of a comparison to get a good idea how these figures kind of match up together. So of course I'm gonna get some of the other mics that I do have in my collection. If I can try and reach him from up here. So here he is compared to the original 1980s Michelangelo figure. So you could kind of see here. I like how wow, they do match up pretty good. I'm actually very surprised. And obviously, you know, it's all retro. This is the re-release though, the reissue, because you know if you look around, he has like the 2013 or 2012 number, you know, years on it. Got that weird rope thing, you know, his nunchucks. And of course, I will definitely review these figures in the future, but obviously, yeah, I just want to focus on these guys right now, the Mutant Mayhem types. And unfortunately, I do not own, you know, well, I don't have like a 2003 Michelangelo, so this is kind of the closest thing I have to it, even though it's not exactly the same. This is one of the variants where he's wearing the armor, and it looks really cool. Only downside is that he got articulation in his fingers, so that's why he's kind of holding his nunchucks funny. Unfortunate, I know. And then of course we got the Battle Shell Mikey, you know, from the 2012 toy line. I do have the movie, you know, like the Michael Bay movie Mikey, but like I say, he's kind of like really high up on my shelf, and as much as I want to get him, I kind of take the risk of knocking everyone down, and I don't want to do that. And of course, my personal favorite is the Rise of TMNT Michaelangelo. Now, this is actually my favorite figure out of the bunch during the Rise of TMNT toy line because obviously he, you know, he could hold pretty much all his weapons, kind of. Got the nice little nunchaku and all that. Got like a razor thing right here, and then he got like a punching glove right here. You know what I mean? This just screams like creativity for sure. And then of course, you know, he comes with a skateboard, so that's great. You know. And yeah, so there you go. Just to kind of get an idea. Actually, I kind of feel bad not showing you guys the Michael Bay turtle, you know, figures, but I mean, to be fair, they weren't exactly popular films, so I don't think anybody minds that I don't do the comparisons. But you know that I will review those figures too. You know, I mean, there's no exceptions. You know, I mean, if I have the figures, why not review them? You know what I mean? Even if I unfortunately don't have every other version, but it is what it is. So let's compare him to other figures too before we end the video. Here he is with Splinter. You know, I finally completed the first wave, so I might as well show off the Sensei. You know, because after Donatello, he's pretty much next. And let's just go. Let's get random. And here he is next to Chasm from the, you know, the Marvel Legends toy line. And yep, he's tall, but they're like 6 or 7 inches, so that's how they are. You know, I got this figure yesterday during my toy hunt, so that's why I wanted to kind of show him off. And last but definitely not least, very random, Leo in disguise, because I actually did bought him yesterday, but I didn't show it in my toy hunt. It's pretty huge, but that's how they are. So yeah, that's about it. That kind of ends the review here. Yeah. So we're almost done with the turtles. Like I say, Donatello is next, and then after that will be Splinter, and you know, and then after that we'll finally get to the bad guys. Yeah, and as always, these figures are always fun. Haven't really had any sort of issues with them. The accessories are great. Paint job and all that, it matches perfectly fine. Sculpting is great. The accessories are really fun. And I haven't really had any sort of issues with these, you know, so for the most part, I have to give them a good score. So, of course, still a 10 out of 10, at least in my opinion. And that's about it. So, yeah, that ends it here. So, thank you guys for joining in. I know these reviews are pretty long, but, I mean, I like Ninja Turtles, so why not? You know, why not dedicate a 20-minute video for one figure, right? So, until then, see you guys next time. Leave a like, subscribe, or dislike it if you dislike it. And that's about it. See ya.